So the topics for today, yeah, they're just all going to pop up here. I was telling people before we kind of got started, I'm just really wonky too myself, my brain, really distracted. I feel like I'm all over the place everywhere, uh, doing something. So I have slides with very specific bullet points so that I was like, all right, so I don't forget. And so I'll make the PDF of the slides available so that it'll almost be like reading, all right, this is what you talked about, this is what you, and hopefully that will help with this process. But there's a lot, and as more people might join in, I know the mom that I was just talking about, she said she wanted to join in, and so if there's other discussion that goes on, during the process, we'll just have to allow it. Uh, you know, I've allotted 2 hours, so if you need to get off, you can just get off, or we'll see how it goes. And if it's like too much, then I'll kind of finish by myself or something. But anyway, one of the questions somebody had asked is in that 108 chant, what is the 108? Why is it 108? So last year sometime I shared those chrysanthemums, and it's okay if you forgot it because I know there's a lot of information that's coming at us all the time now. But those chrysanthemums I had drawn, they had 108 petals. So that meditation that I put up on YouTube with the 108 beads is because the chrysanthemum has 108 petals. And we were just talking before I started the slides about the 9 dimensions. So we're 12 dimensional avatars, but it's the 9 dimensions that we access where those dimensional chakras, right, are like part of our body. I know other people have different systems that they put out there, but this is the one that works. I feel physically makes sense to my body. So the right the root is the first dimension, the sacral is the second dimension. Those are on the body. The solar plexus is the third dimension. The heart is the fourth dimension. The throat is the fifth dimension. The third eye is the sixth dimension, and then it kind of folds in on itself. But like the high heart, which is right at that thymic level, right here, that's the eighth dimension. That's our high heart and connection to higher self and also collective consciousness. That's why it's also called, some people call it the universal heart. And then the seventh, so what did I do? Seven is the crown. And then the ninth is the brainstem. So those are on the body. Okay. And so then the soul star, the 10th chakra, is about 6 to 8 inches above the head. The 11th is about 18 to 2 feet above the head. And the Earth star is about 8 inches below the feet. So you could see that we're like in an egg. We kind of talked about this before, but again, I don't mind repeating it because I understand that we forget things, and other people are using different chakra systems. So this is what works for me. So it's almost like in this universal time matrix, we're cradled in this system, but the 9 are the most physical. And so the chrysanthemum was to interdimensionally weave, right, these dimensional frequencies primarily make up the physical body. So the chrysanthemum, that's why we're doing the 108 petals of the chrysanthemum. Hello, we're just getting started on the slides, and we're just talking about the chrysanthemums and the 108 petals. That has to do with the 9 dimensions, chakras on the body, and that's why it's 9 times 12. 12 subharmonic frequencies within the dimensions, and so That's why it's 108 petals. And I thought it was interesting that, I think in the Hindu system and the Buddhist, they use those mala beads. So that's why it's 108. That's the question that somebody had asked. So then I'm going to go through a little bit about the microcosmic overview of the first harmonic universe, moving to the second harmonic universe, which process that began in 2017, and do a microcosmic overview of what is happening now and why the physical matter is really changing. Then I'll talk a little bit more about from Azumi, who is that Denisovan spirit, and what that has to do with autism, or autists who are kind of cosmic as it is. And then I'll talk a little bit about, touch on the developing human genetic blueprint as other galactic expressions and what it means now with all these different star seeds from different star systems or had many lives maybe in these other star systems, and the coming together on this planet for a healing, because many of them also experienced trauma on their planet, explosions and other kinds of things, invasions, things like that. And then the meditation, we're going to facilitate the microcosmic clearing and healing in the body systems, parasite cleansing, soul healing from other galactic lifetimes, reset the cranial nerves, parasympathetic nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve, and adjust our coordinates to align to the new Earth grid and ley lines. So I'll attempt to convey that information. So, as I go here, feel free to post something, a question in the chat if I'm not, if you want, if I'm not being clear, or you can pop in and ask a question. But just remember that from this phase, it's like posted on YouTube. We cut out certain portions and then it's posted on YouTube. So just be aware that if you're okay with, being heard on YouTube or whatever. All right. So much is happening to our physical body. Like we were just talking about headaches, can't sleep, ringing in the ears, sometimes like a rotor is going, is spinning above the head, those kinds of things. So this is a lot has happening to our physical body. So the macrocosm and the microcosm, so the very big, right, and the microcosm are now converging. So they're like coming together in a way that's never been available to us before. We're going beyond the quantum field. We've gone beyond the quantum field. I'm using the quantum a lot in the presentation because there's no other kind of word that, that kind of commonly understand, meaning the very, very, very tiny, tiny bits. And Samantha was saying it's smaller than what you would call the Planck scale. Like Planck scale, I can't remember, it was like 1 to the minus, but it's like 0.00000000. So it's smaller than nano, is what it comes down to. So this is what we're accessing now into. So it's getting it, and it's very physical. So you can imagine that if the two are converging, then our physical body that's made up of this matter realm, material realm of atoms and quantum bits and quanta, it's like zeroing everything out, and to change density, all this stuff has to be cleared out of the body, right? And so the body is uncomfortable, our neurology has to change. There's a lot going on, and you have to imagine that it's now happening to the physical earth, which is why we can shift our density now, because we're following with the earth. We're made of earth matter, we live on earth. So if the Earth is changing and now really becoming, raising its vibration to that fourth, fifth, sixth dimensional Earth, then our bodies have to adapt to all of this. So yeah, much is happening to our neurology. What I'm feeling, in the last few days is we have these cranial nerves that operate on top of our heads here, on the cranium, on the what do they call it, the cerebrum, and those are what our senses are connected to. Those are our senses. So we have 12 senses, main ones, and then now it feels like there's going to be more. But so we have 12 senses, and our bodies are going to adapt to take in new sensory information from the physical body. So I'll be talking about a little bit more about that later. Okay, somebody's asking a question. Let's see, or commenting. Where is it? Come on, it's not popping up. Okay. All right. One new message there. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Melena. Love you too. I'm glad you could join. I know it's late for you. The other thing that I have been experiencing happening is that the central vertical channel, right, that goes down the middle of our bodies is literally connecting to our corpus callosum, right? That's the corpus callosum is what splits the two halves of the brain, or was split, the left and the right sides of the brain. Well, I mean, literally, I was feeling it a couple of weeks ago, and Sammy was showing me what was happening. It's the central vertical channel is connecting to that corpus callosum. And so what I'm noticing now is that I am processing information through the center of my brain. It's like it's a weird kind of feeling. But, there have been some other kind of, I don't know, way out kind of discussions in this chat group, in this other chat group that I'm in Telegram. And, it was like about numbers and things, and it was processing something really different through the center of the brain. So, I feel like these are the kinds of things that are going to be happening to us. And so our head hurts, our brains hurt, and our bodies are going to come online. Our body systems are going to come online in a totally new way. And this is what the autists have been waiting for, So they're embodying now. So they have to clear out too from their physical bodies, because, right, even though they're operating kind of in that more cosmic consciousness, they're like not so connected to their physical bodies. Well, they still came into a body that had a system running that was 3D, right? That was the only way they could get connected to a physical body. So now they're coming down in a sense, we're kind of going up. So we're all having to work with the physical body, regardless of whether you're coming down or whether you're trying to go up. So there's all this stuff that's been trapped in the body that needs to be cleared. So even like parasites and things, now it can be cleared at a different level. So even though you might have been doing all these detox and clearing in the past, it's now what's available is at even more refined levels. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go here. Come on. All right. Yeah, so it's a process of nullifying and dissolving things that we can't take with us. Right, another chat, somebody else. Oh. Thanks, Zuwin. I love that. Okay. Yeah, so it's bringing up more to be healed and cleared. So the physical body systems are awakening. And if we think about the densest aspect of our bodies, it's like um, the bones, the fascia, and the muscles. So they're getting a workout now. Again, the densest parts have to change density. And the other aspect of that is that you might have heard me describe in the past, like dirty plasma, stuff that's woven through our bodies. These are like the shadow aspects, Um, it's even at a more refined level. So you may feel like, you cleared your ego and you did all this stuff, but now there's this how it's been woven into a dense body that is coming up. So, you hear a lot of people, other spiritual people talking about, facing your shadows and clearing your shadows. It's coming up at a whole new level, at a microcosmic level, let's say, that is literally woven in between the fascia and the muscles, in the tendons, what's attached to the bones. It's like in between these spaces and places that we couldn't quite access the way we can access now. So all of that stuff is a good thing, but again, now it's accelerated, right? We talk about this 8-year, the quickening. It's accelerated to be able to clear this stuff out at micro levels. Oh, this was a couple of people in the Patreon group. They're in Australia, but something that I wanted to add here is that they noticed that they were really tired. And so when they went to see a doctor, their iron was low. And so when they started taking some extra iron, they got some energy back. And also, they noticed that other people around them are also needing more iron, right? Changing density, if the planet's core is iron and it's, suddenly changing, then what's happening to the iron in our body? We rely on iron to even circulate oxygen, I think, right? So there's another factor that you might want to keep in mind. I haven't started taking the iron just yet. I'm trying to make sure I eat an egg every morning. And I know some people don't like eggs and have things about eggs, but that's okay. So um, just another FYI, if that's something that you want to explore. So good to consider other detox protocols, what you do for detox. And I thought, if you want to, when I post the video, if people want to comment about what detox strategies they're using, so other people can take a look at it as well, and share that in order to, sometimes we might need something different now or new, as things change. So just putting that out there. So there's more chats here. Oh, so you think Lucy might have low iron? Okay. Yeah, iron cleanse foot bath, foot, uh, uh, ion cleanse foot bath. Yeah, there's lots of different methods. And so, you have to, explore yourself or what feels right. So, you can take the packaging and put it near your child, right? So, as it gets closer to them, do you feel a repelling, or do you feel like, oh, okay, it's a match, because there's a couple of different things that I take, and I was asking, are these compatible together? Should I be using these together? And when I tried to bring them together, they would repel, so I knew, okay, I shouldn't be taking this at the same time that I take this, right? So you can try it that way. I mean, it's may not be 100%, Like if you were to go to a pharmacist or somebody and say, do these supplements, should I be taking them together? But that's what I've been doing. So I take, I do have some of those, and I can't say it here because then I'll get banned from I won't be able to load this video on YouTube. But I take that, let's say that horse remedy that they were calling the horse remedy, which is a parasite cleanse, and they deemed it as not good, right? That we shouldn't be taking it. But it is something that is used and has been on the market for decades, and they use it to for Lyme disease. It's used to treat Lyme disease. So I do have that on hand, and when I'm feeling run down and I feel like I'm very congested and things are trying to clear out, then I'll start taking some of that. And I have the other stuff that begins with an H. Yeah, so Zuin says she has some too. Yeah. So those are some things because they clear out the parasites. And like I said, naturopathic doctors prescribe it for Lyme disease and other parasitic kinds of infections. And it's been around for decades, and used in other parts of the world. So, and again, other people might have other things. I know some people take the MMS. I also use this other one that's called Ambaya Gold, and it's got the fulvic and humic acids in it. It's actually from Sedona. They it's from plants, fossilized plants. So that means it's been in the earth for hundreds and hundreds, tens of thousands of years that they extract, and it's got like it's a liquid, and it's got some gold in it and iridium like traces, and I think a little bit of MMS in it. So I take that a couple of times a day, and I noticed that it helps me to stay more kind of hydrated. Like I don't have tears. My eyes will get really dry if I stop taking it. And then when I start taking it again, my eyes are lubricated again. Like it's like it gets into your tissues to oxygenate your tissues is my understanding. Other people call it, I think, black oxygen. So those are the kind of things. Oh, you have that too? Okay. Uh, I take the detox one. It's called detox. I think it's just called detox. Um, okay, cool. So, you can try those things. And again, other people, post some other ideas of what you use, and maybe there'll be other things that people might want to try, you know. Like I wish I could give Sam some of the let's say the parasiting stuff, but I know she's not gonna take it, so she's pretty but I do put her in the Dead Sea salt baths and what do you call it? What's that other stuff? The Epsom salt. Epsom salt. She takes an Epsom salt bath every day, and then 2 or 3 times a week I'll put the Dead Sea salt in it um, as well. But yeah, maybe if everyone shares, they might have some other, you might get some other ideas, new things that you want to try. Oh, the other thing, I don't think I put it in here. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I didn't put it, I forgot to put it in here. But the other thing I was guided to go back to, which I hadn't done in a few years, is using flower essences again. So a lot is changing with the electric, right? Our neurology runs on the electricity, so to speak, electric currents. And so, like 10, 12 years ago, I used to use the Paralandra a lot. I don't know if some of you are familiar with Paralandra, but they make, and it was the MAPS program, MAPS, Medical Assistance Program. And it was like working with the devas and the elemental spirits. And she grows a lot of different kinds of flowers and makes flower essences out of them. And I remember it said that the flower essence helps with our electrical circuits in our body. The flowers, for some reason, I'm not sure exactly why, but I've been guided to kind of go back to using that. And I made some of my own from our yard, flowers from our yard. And so I've gone back to giving some to Samantha. They're pretty easy to make, actually. If you look up a YouTubes on how to make flower essences, they're pretty easy. Tree Frog Farm. Okay, there's one right there, Tree Frog Farm. So yeah, if people want to copy that, write that down, or I'll make the chat available. Or Marianne, if you post it again in Patreon under the what do you call it? The chat when I post the video, that would be great. But yeah, they're pretty easy to make because you're making it from flower petals, and then you're putting them in the sunlight, and the sun activates the spirit or the essence of the flower. And if you think about, how the sun has changed now, and the sun is activating our heart, our soul. Um, uh, it just felt like it's a good thing. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, again, let's just share ideas and what you know, what you use, and even different flower. I mean, essential oils. Maybe there's ones that we haven't heard about. If people want to share that, people listening to the recording. So yeah, the other thing is it might be a good time to get back to some foundational kinds of things. The 12 tree grid, which is the system for our light body to hold our light body steady. The vertical channels, the axotonial alignment of the vertical channels, our Dantian centers. These things all help us give us stability. So, we've talked in the past about, gosh, I just lost my train of thought. We've talked about, the chakras kind of dissolving, they're changing to become a lighter human. They don't have to be so dense anymore. And so, I know people wonder then, well, how do we get stability in the body? Because it's the chakra systems that give us stability in the body. And that's not the only system. It's these vertical channels, horizontal channels, and diagonal channels, and then the Dantian centers and our light body 12 tree grid system, which the 12 tree grid means it's 12 dimensional. So we've been operating on one of the let's say manipulations is to manipulate this 12 tree grid into a 10 tree grid, and that is not correct, because that would be 10 dimensional, and our full being, in the human body in this universal time matrix is a 12 dimensional body. Okay, so I know some people, if you're already trained to these practices, you can command by saying, clear and align the 12 tree grid, axotonial alignment, balance vertical, horizontal, and diagonal channels, adjust all Dantian centers, and then if you want, just ask, putting out for yourself. So she'll show me what needs attention and see, what comes through. So one of the things about the left side in the ear, hearing high-pitched tones, is that in the 12 tree grid system, that 10th dimensional sphere is like right here. It's a 10th dimensional sphere. And it's actually, so 10 dimensional means it's also connected to the 10th chakra or the soul star, which is right here. Okay, so that's the one that's 6 to 8 inches above the head. So the light body and the sun, well, the solar star, this is the solar star, the 10th, also, you know, the blah, blah, blah. And so the sun in its multidimensional nature is also activating this dimensional access point, right? Because that's why it's called also known as the solar star. So we have a solar plexus and then we have a solar star as well. So the sun with all its activity now is making adjustments. We're being kind of forced to have to make adjustments now to our entire being. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. And something else is saying, yeah, and the 11th dimensional chakra, which is like 18 inches to 2 feet above the head, that's also now, oh, I just realized, okay, that that is rotating. It's connecting to the 11th dimensional stargate, and the 11th dimensional stargate is in the UK. So that was actually being blocked by this black dragon. And so now that has been, let's say, taken out, and now it is open. So the Avalon light body, which which is activating the entire light body, the 12 tree grid again. Okay, so that 11th dimensional opening is very important as well. So yeah, that it's spinning. There's a star there, and I presented it once, I think a couple of months ago. It's called the Star of Avion, or also known as the Star of Avalon. So these are some of the major changes as to why now we're able to take the next step in this ascension process. Oh, so it's the Star of, I was trying to figure that out too. The Star of Avalon that is rotating and shining its light on the planet. Okay. And there might, other people might be hearing that rotor sound for a different reason too. So, you know, it depends on the star seed, whatever else is going on, and where you're mainly working from. But that seems to be a main reason for a lot of people hearing that spinning going on. Okay, so macrocosmic events that have gone on. I'll just try and run through this quickly. So in 2017, the cosmos was beginning to move the first harmonic universe, 1D, 2D, 3D, to the second harmonic universe. Second harmonic universe is 4D, 5D, 6D. Again, heart, throat, third eye. So because the 3D, the densest, there's been, let's just say, overlays that kept that 3D matrix in place. So the plan was, well, we're just going to change the architecture and we're just going to move it up. And so this is the reason why I feel that people started talking about connecting to their heart, connecting to their soul, because the soul begins connecting at the heart, throat, and third eye. This is your personal soul matrix. Okay, the personal soul matrix is in the second harmonic universe. So they moved that, and that's when everything just started to really change. And it made the macrocosm more open to receiving all these new codes that we needed. So that was a major change, okay? And so the universal time matrix that we've been in has 15, it's been a 15-dimensional universe. So divided into harmonic universes. So each harmonic universe 1, 1, 2, 3, first, second, third dimension. Harmonic universe 2, fourth, fifth, sixth dimension. Harmonic universe 3, seventh crown, eighth high heart, and ninth dimensions. And then the fourth harmonic universe is 10, 11, 12. And the fifth harmonic universe, which is dimensions 13, 14, and 15, are the morphogenetic fields, but the human avatar has been in 12 dimensions. All right, let me just keep going. And then, so the human avatar body exists in 12 dimensions. And like I said, 13, 14, 15 being the morphogenetic fields. So 1D, 2D, 3D, the most dense. And the chakra system was connecting into the 12 dimensions. So now to get humanity in it out of the lowest density, the first harmonic universe was moved, and then it was completed in 2018. And so things started really changing. And that's when Samantha started really flipping out even more than ever. So one of the quantum kids that I recently connected with, I'm just going to call him Leo 2. He was born in 2016. He said he played a role behind the scenes in getting things ready to move that first harmonic universe to the second harmonic universe. And he was really cute. He's only 8 years old now. He said that he's the master of Jinn Rummy, meaning that he'll always have the winning hand no matter what these archons and others are trying to do. Okay, so and obviously there's many others, that are kind of like him. So so whatever way that let's say the negatives, are trying to hold things back or keep us trapped, they're going to come up with something else. There's going to be something else to stop them from accomplishing what it is that they're trying to accomplish, is basically, what that means. So then there was a sixth harmonic universe, 17, 18, 19, 16, 17, and 18th dimensions. Again, not quite physical like the 1 to 12, but that started an access into dark matter that we never had before. And I just remember that Sammy handed me these 3 spheres in 2016, and she said those are the 16th, 17th, and 18th chakras. And if you were joining me for those planetary synthesis, I don't know if you remember in 2017, where I was doing, I was told I got to do this every month for 6 months. And, I'm talking about moving the first harmonic universe to the second. I was like, I had no idea what I was talking about. I was doing the best I could at the time. That's what was kind of happening, and I didn't know why, but now here we are. And so we're at a culmination point where all these things happened. I know. And again, if you don't remember any of this, that's why I'll make the slides available to you, and you can kind of read the bullet points if you want, because I know we're probably all a little bit, our brain is not functioning quite the way we're used to. Okay, so this is depicting kind of going deeper into the cosmos, so to speak. And this is like a mother tree at the edges of our universe. And it's a mother tree, and then the father like activating it. And it was almost like opening it into this field, and then all these spheres well, these two colored spheres representing a mother and father, were like kind of coming out of it. And these little spots is each like an eye, you know, of the source as cosmic mother and father, who are really one. And so you can see everything that's going on. Before, you know, we say, well, God knows everything, it sees everything. Not like this. I mean, it's really, you know, seeing everything now, so to speak. So the microcosmic. So we just talked a bit about the macrocosmic. So let's, you know, look at the microcosm. So in 2019, the autists, you know, they showed me these 7 universes of micro consciousness units. It's like going into the beyond the quantum field of what sources the quantum field. But it means the micro consciousness units, like consciousness units, meaning aspects of source, the consciousness of source. So from Samantha's perspective, last year's 777 began the alignment of the 7 higher heavens. Let's say that's the macro, the 7 middle heavens, which is our world. Some people have been referring to it as the 7 lower heavens, that we exist in the 7 lower heavens. But to me, it's now the middle heavens, so to speak, and the 7 micro heavens. They all came together. And the 8 year it's almost like the 8 is bridging all of it together to stabilize it, even though it doesn't feel stable to us. It's bringing that alignment to stability. So we talk about the 7s, and there is also a 9, because when we look at 2025, that's a 9. And that's also another exponential number. So 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the 3rd power. That's very exponential. But the 9 is 3 times 3, or 3 to the 2nd power. So when we say power, that means exponential. That's why that's an exponent, that little number on top. But not as exponential as this 8. 8 is very accelerating. 9 is going to be another acceleration year. And I don't know if any of you remember those 9 omniversal beings that I did a video on, you know, a couple of years ago. They showed up. There's 9 of them. They said they were from the 9 original bodies of, let's say, source. So each of these, quote, bodies, they're like a dragon body or something, you know, beyond that. Each one is like an omniverse into themselves. So there's 9 of them. And when we think about the number 9, 9, they say, is the number of completion. So that's the 9. I'm just putting that out there. So even though there's an 8 now, and we're working with, I think, Lisa Renee of Energetic Synthesis, she's talking about the 8th sun. There's a 9th one. That's also as massive. I don't know what that's going to bring us into and what that's going to feel like. But just an FYI that, you know, this is kind of another beginning of a process, in a sense, as we change the physical. Just an FYI. Yeah, so an 8 year is an activation and acceleration of physical changes. And then, so like I was saying, when the first harmonic universe moved to the second harmonic universe, we were feeling all these things starting to happen, you know, kind of from the higher realms, the spiritual realms, the cosmic downloads we were getting, people being activated. But that was still kind of not physical this way. It was things streaming in, activations happening for people to prepare for this real physical change now that's happening. So it's actualizing now this switch from dense 3D to a higher harmonic. Everything is vibrating higher. And it also means that the architecture of this universal time matrix has changed. So, what was I going to say? The architecture has changed. So, if you watch some of my old videos, again, it's okay if you don't remember, but it's like changing the rules, right? Because if these archons already hacked, let's say, right? They hacked the system of the law of numbers, the law of, whatever, polarity, all those things, they hacked it. So the mathematics, they hacked it all. And so we can't just go back to the same old system because it's already been hacked, right? So it's like Source has created a whole, some of it is original, but then some of it is now new. It's different. Okay, it's different because this has never happened before where you move from this kind of density of 3D to a higher harmonic. I mean, that's a big change right there. So we didn't realize that we're actually in a whole new landscape, let's say, right? We don't know that we're in a higher harmonic physically. People talk about everything's vibrating higher, but now it's really happening. Do I have any more? Yeah. Very, very tiny oscillations of a grid pattern that's coming on. So like if you saw my Facebook post yesterday, and I think I shared it in Patreon as well, it was like 144,000 Earth nodal points that now came online, that now activated, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So that means it's changing the grid system, the energy of the grids are changing. Okay, so now I drew this, kind of quickly to try and demonstrate. So you have to imagine that these are very, very tiny quantum, like a quantum grid, and they're not actually straight, but they're oscillating, they're vibrating, they're oscillating. So it's, and our bodies are in it. And so now this is what is making it so intense. We're accessing new quanta, and it's releasing more of the histories of the earth, activating spiritual DNA or genes that have been in the earth. The earth remembers, it holds on to all these things now, all these things. And so the macro grids and the micro grids are kind of coming together and reconfiguring and changing the architecture of our grid network. So not just the planetary grid, but then how the planet can now connect to the galactic grid, to the universal grid, and then there's like a cosmic grid that goes all the way out. So it's able to access more and more into all of it. And I have a feeling that the 9 has to do something with that it's going to go even, I don't know, deeper, further. I don't know what the right word is, but that 9 is going to activate. So this is why in our body, right, we're part of this network. We're in it. Otherwise, our physical bodies wouldn't be able to exist. And it's all vibrating oscillating in the quantum realm that we're connected to. And so it's making it easier to detox. It's making it easier to release the shadow aspects of ourselves. It's making it easier to release old thought patterns, or we're trying to anyway. I know it's hard because we still have to function in a world that's operating on a specific language, and how we earn a living and all that kind of stuff. So we also have a personality matrix and an identity matrix in the body, right? So it used to be that our personality matrix and even our ego identity matrix was being held by the solar plexus. And our solar plexus was also right connected to the sun. That's why it's called solar plexus. Well, I'm experiencing it where like I can feel it dissolving, and it feels like my heart, that fourth chakra, is connected to the sun, right? So the sun is highlighting our personal soul matrix. We have a personal soul matrix and oversoul matrix. Okay. So the personal soul matrix is who you are. You are designed to be this in this life, in this body. And so our identity now can shift as a soul. And what I feel is that even the personality matrix, what was woven into it from the solar plexus, was a karmic pattern. Okay. And it's literally, again, interdimensionally kind of woven into the physical body of who we are. So I've been experiencing it like it's dissolving. It's dissolving. And now your imprint, which is your astrological imprint, the 13th sign astrological imprint, is what activates who you are supposed to be in this life. Okay. And that personality matrix is going to get woven in. Again, so when I say I can feel it happening to me, I'm describing what, if you're not feeling it yet or you're not aware of it, this is something that if we're, remaining on the planet, I feel in my heart that this is what's going to happen to all of you, all of us. And it also then activates our autists into their next phase of this life. Okay. Yeah, and I talked about this a little bit. The central vertical channel connecting to corpus callosum, yeah, and processing information from like the center of the brain. All right. Okay, I'll just keep going if everybody's okay. So this is a quantum icosahedron of water. The autists, those quantum autist kids, were the ones that showed me this. I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I think. And it has 20 sides. So like I said, the icosahedron represents water, and this is the traditional one over here that we're used to seeing. So this has 20 sides as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's 10 more on the backside. I know it's a bizarre kind of image, but I guess because it's kind of quantum, and it has an element, it feels like it's like quantum copper, which transmits life force energy, life force currents. So exactly what the potential of what it's actually doing, we can only imagine. I don't know the fullness of what else it can do, but it's like going to cleanse our water much more quickly, it feels like, and then reanimate the life force currents in the water. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to get into talking more about the message from Azumi about the Denisovans. And I just put their drawings on here just to have their energy. This is Sasquatch, my drawing, my representation of Sasquatch. I know they look much more scary and imposing. He came out this way, I feel like, because really at heart, they're these really gentle giants, loving giants, and his eyes are very gentle and loving to me. So I'll talk a little bit about what Azumi said about Sasquatch coming through. Okay, so Azumi, the spirit of the Denisovans. So just for background, again, the Denisovans, that awareness first came to me in reading Andrew Collins's book, The Cygnus Key, and the Denisovan Legacy, Gobekli Tepe, and the Birth of Egypt. And he's the one that mentions in his book that when they, just in case some of you may not have seen the post, that there's a section in here called the Denisovans Autistic Mindset. So these Denisovans are bones that they discovered in caves of southern Siberia in the area of Ergaki Park, it's called, in Siberia. And when they tested the bones, first of all, they found artifacts around the bones that suggested they were much more, even though they dated these bones to be about 70,000 years old, that the artifacts around them, which also dated to be about 70,000 years old, were much more advanced than they, would have thought of these humanoid or humans at that time. And they discovered that they were probably about at least 7 feet tall, so really tall. And when they tested their genes, there's a lab in Germany, I think he says in this book, anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, from the fingertip of the exomen they found in the Denisovan cave. So he says, this has revealed some major divergences from the modern human genome. 8 of the genes, 8 of which relate to brain function and brain connectivity. And he goes on to say in here that what they found was that these 8, and interesting again, 8, the number 8 comes up, that these genes relate to in autism. They found that when those 8 genes are mutated, it correlates, again, doesn't necessarily cause, but correlates to autism. Persons with autism can have these mutated genes. And that he believes or feels that these Denisovans, because looking at the autistics, the way they function in their repetitive behavior or their pacing, that they must have, the Denisovans had like a different kind of cosmic awareness about them, and that they were let's say, the ancestors of the shamans, because of their ritualistic, and they relate that because of the rituals that they do, the shamans, and how they do these, rituals and ritual dances and things, and lining things up. And Sammy said, confirmed that that you can mutate the genes, but they can't turn off the spiritual intention of those genes, which come from spirit, which comes from the God source. So anyway, that post is in Patreon, and I did a voice recording when I first connected with Azumi, and it has kind of the more of the backstory about who Azumi is and how that came about. Okay, so I'm just going to go from there to here now. So a portal was opened in northern Mongolia near southern Siberia about 450,000 years ago. This is in the recording, to recover the lost souls of Tara from the explosion of Tara, which was the original fifth dimensional kind of Earth. And part of the Paladorian Covenant, which the Paladorian Covenant just briefly is about recovering those lost souls, healing those lost souls, and then recovering them to ascend again. So this was the seeding of the Denisovans to bring those lost souls of Tara back. And so the seeding took about 40,000, 50,000 years ago, and then it took about 200,000 years for the Denisovan human being to manifest, right? Change the genes so that they manifest into these very tall humans. And the portal brought through the spiritual genes to evolve a certain group of humans in that region. And then the plants changed or evolved to stimulate the human evolution, and also the animals, which creates an environment and an ecosystem to support the evolution. They had a very different 7 chakra system and more, but the 7 physical body chakras were different. And so they function differently. Their crown was fully functioning, really different than what we have understood. Like communicating with stars through their skull is what it felt like individual stars. They could talk to them, and you can see kind of that shaman cosmic aspect of that human being then. So some of the new info that's coming in, that came in from Azumi, was that if you imagine that a planet explodes and there are these fifth dimensional humans, right, on that planet, then everything is damaged. The light body is damaged, the chakra system is damaged, and the multidimensional access is damaged. So in order to repair, heal, and ascend, they needed a different, quote, system to be built based on a much denser physical planet, because by then, it had fallen into the lower density, and it was used to operating at a higher density that we find ourselves in today, particularly the crown, which gives us the cosmic awareness so that it could receive the information from the cosmos of what needed to be done next. Okay, you've accomplished this phase. Now here's what you need to do next. Okay, this is how you read the stars. This is how you read the astrology, the planetary the constellations. Okay, so it was to read that information and again, to let them know what phase we're in, what phase we're in, and then now this is the next phase, so on and so on. So they also had a different kind of sensory system, such as the vestibular, the link between your ears and so the vestibular system is the link between our ears and the brain for balance and equilibrium. Okay, and the proprioceptive system, the body's ability to sense its location and movements, how it's moving in that space. And proprioception also gives one a sense of self-awareness. Now, if you know you're autist or autistic child, right, there's a lot of focus in schools by the OT, occupational therapy, to work with their proprioceptive and their vestibular system. It's because, right, it's as if they're not aware of their body. They're not aware of where their body is in space, in 3D, because their conscious, the main part of their consciousness was not accessing or functioning in 3D. They were functioning at a higher dimensional level, more like 8th dimension, 7th dimension, 8th dimension, 9th dimension, right? That third harmonic universe. So you know, I remember even Sammy, when she was little, I would see her. She like one time I watched her, I was embarrassed because um she people had a blanket on the ground for a picnic at a park, you know, and she walked right over that whole blanket of food and stuff. I mean, she just, it was like she wasn't even aware of it. And that's why sometimes it can feel like they're not aware of who we are or see through us and things because they have it, they're functioning kind of differently. It's that proprioceptive awareness, okay, that they don't have, or that's different. They're existing in a different time space. Um, okay, yeah. So yeah, consider how the vestibular and proprioceptive systems affect autism. And I think I get into this later about now imagine the grid is changing and that this first, second, and third dimensions are also now operating in on level with the second harmonic universe. Okay. And the ley lines and the grid system has now activated the earth. We're becoming aware now that we're in a completely different space, right? Now that it's all coming together, that means all of us, the humans, are going to become like, where am I all of a sudden? They're not going to know where they're navigating through. So even though everything looks the same, the earth looks the same, you know, but we're operating in a totally different location cosmically, right? So that's going to mess with our vestibular and proprioceptive systems. Remember, vestibular, that has to do with, right, the joints, the muscles. It's giving that balance and equilibrium. How do you balance in this 3D realm? But now we're actually more in like a 5D realm. So everything feels different and they don't know why. So be careful driving because people are not gonna necessarily may not know what is going on. It's like it's as if the ground beneath our feet has changed. It looks the same, but we're not in the same space anymore. So what else this, yeah. So not all on the earth currently identify as having been Tara. Not everybody was on Tara when that happened. And so some, you know, you don't see everybody talking about Tara. I feel like I'm more Taran. I mean, I identify more with that than being Lemurian. But some had their first incarnation as Lemurian, but they had humanoid incarnations on other planets and star systems, and they too experienced wars and traumas from the negative draconians and reptilian beings that were that had that conquering kind of consciousness. Okay, so they are here now to on the earth to heal. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Sammy's Human Genetic History book. So on the other planets, in other star systems, this is how the actual full 12-dimensional human genome was being developed on other planets. And so now we're coming together on Earth because Earth is like a major portal of all these star systems. It's imprinted into the Earth, the stars, and those are like portals. And so, according to some, this is why they want to take over the Earth and control the Earth, because they know it's a very special place to go anywhere in the galaxy. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So even the plants and the animals were being developed on other planets, such as corn and wheat. Now, I'm not telling anybody that they should not eat, that they should eat wheat, because we know a lot of these are genetically now modified and engineered, and lots of other stuff has happened to them. But they're brought to the planet from other planets as sustenance. And there is a new group of kids on the planet. They're not, autistic necessarily. I don't know if all of them are or not, but I mean, they're not necessarily autistic, but they're called the children of the maze. I know that because one of my friends just had a baby, and he's part of the children of the maze, and he told me that. But I didn't want to call them children of the corn because there's a horror story about that. Isn't it interesting, how these stories are made up about these things. And there's one woman, this video, and she does what she calls starseed alignments. So she does more other constellational kind of astrology, like Cepheus and Orion and Perseus and Persephone is coming up for some reason, and Columba, which is the dove constellation. Oh, Delphinus, Cetus, right, where the whales and dolphins are from. She said that cannabis is actually from Sirius, because Canna, it means Canis, or the dog star, which is known as Sirius. And cannabis, the bi means two. So there's been two stars that we've known from Sirius, which actually there's a third star, Sirius C, but it's not well seen. But okay, so anyway, that was interesting. And again, cannabis is also, I'm not telling anybody to use cannabis or not. Although before I got on here, I feel like that's true. When the if you use CBD during the next Syrian gateway, which is going to happen like July 1st to July 7th, you can put your CBD out in the outside under the stars and ask the Syrians to activate your CBD. So just if you want to give that, if that resonates for you. Okay, so she also said, Azumi also said, the mitochondria is in direct communication with the planetary ley lines. The mitochondria gets passed on from mother to their children, and therefore is sensitive to the environment, particularly the RNA of the mitochondria. So if you weaken the RNA of the mitochondria, it's easy then to begin altering the genetics. So the mother's mitochondria is passed on to their children, right? Whether you're male or a female. Again, trying to defile and destroy the feminine and the mother, right? So there's a dragon moth grid that was laid over Asia. I think Ascension Glossary says it was about 75,000 years ago. I don't know, give or take a few thousand years maybe. And so since the mitochondrial DNA is sensitive to the ley lines in the grid, if you start messing with the grid, it starts to degrade the DNA, right? So the Archons took over the portal in Mongolia, where the first Denisovan genes came from, okay? And so when this happened, they knew that the genes were going to start to get degraded. So it was decided by the founders, and these are the founders that go billions of years back, okay? They built the grid network. They're like architects of, our universe and dimensions and all of that. So they agreed that some of them would become like Sasquatch. I don't know how they did that, but to hold the first humanoid first chromosome. So if you saw the post, that the first chromosome is shared by all humanoids, and part of that, much of that, what my Sasquatch friend showed me is that the first chromosome, a lot of it is turned off in the current human that we are right now, which would give us one of the things would be telepathic communication with each other. Okay. So they became Sasquatch. And so she said that, but not all the Sasquatch today are the same. So the ones who remain the most hidden and remote carry the intact first chromosome. So that's kind of an FYI. There was something else I was going to say about the chromosome. Oh yeah, did I say this on the next? Okay. And it's also this first chromosome that can help us to integrate with our other galactic selves. Because again, that first chromosome is what makes us humanoid. Okay, so Sam, we wanted to go back to this a little bit. If you've seen this in the past. So there's 144,000 planetary nadis or nodes. Okay, and that's what I was saying that activated yesterday. So those nadis or nodes were held by the cross bearers or coordinate bearers. So there's like these major coordinates that connect into the planet. And then there are some on the planet. Those are the 144,000 Christed ones, as we call them. And this is not an easy thing to be holding because they were often crucified or targeted, if you're one of these coordinate bearers, okay? And that's why some of them are satanically abused as children because they take over the light body of that child and then they can take over that nadi, that point, the node of the planet as well, okay? So there's 144,000 Christed ones, but then I was like, well, does that mean there's only 144,000 humans, on the planet? No. There's 8 incarnated right now on the planet, 8 each, okay? So, because that's a big thing to hold. So there's 8 humans that hold one of those points, okay? So there's actually 1,152,000 humans on the planet that are these cross bearers, right? The cross bearer is the coordinate marker. It's an intersection point like this. It gives new meaning to why, the idea of Jesus on the cross and things like that, okay? And that's how they managed to take over the grids. But I mean, there's more souls on the other side that are holding that. But this, again, the 9, it makes it completes the picture, so to speak. So these planetary nadis or nodes activating now across the planet, it really changes things. I don't know if you might feel how open things are, like I've been feeling like I can touch the edges of the cosmos. I can touch many different access points and things. So it's like a freeing when this happens now. But again, this is disrupting everything, and this is a major part of why it's going to feel more and more like we're in a completely different space because it's all been opened. Again, first harmonic universe, second harmonic universe, we're in a completely different location. And now it's becoming more obvious to everyone, even if they don't know why. Okay, so this is something that we're going to use energetically in the meditation. It's the rainbow lotus for the multi-sensory system, and facilitates the coordination of the cranial nerves with our bodies, the vestibular and proprioceptive systems as well. It awakens the consciousness of our body systems and organs, whereby to be even the fascia, lymphatic system, and muscular system will awaken more to its sensory nature. So it'll be like, the organs can speak. And that means that the body systems can communicate with each other more fluidly, like it's supposed to, you know. Our bodies, every organ, every body system should be talking to each other all the time. And that does go on still, in a sense, but this is going to be to another level where there might be some part of your body telling you that they need something, but anyway, this is a good thing. It's real sensory integration. They try to do sensory integration with our kids, but they were trying to sensory integrate them to a 3D body. Well, now this is sensory integration to a 5D body where our multisensory system is coming alive. Okay, so we're also going to be using this energy, the star human egg, which these, like, if you can imagine that these little points or stars as they represent on the egg is bringing your other galactic expressions that you've had here into this now moment, and for the continuing your continued soul mission. So, and this one represents the galactic star human, and then the stargazer human kind of blueprint, the etheric blueprint that we start with. Again, I said a mouthful. It's been about an hour and a half now. So, are there any final questions? We'll get to the meditation. Okay. Alrighty. So, if you're ready, let's take some deep inhales and exhales. Alrighty. Good night.